and it's a wobbling camera. Sorry, it's just the system that I have. I have the microphone dangling from the arm that's holding the iPad. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new to My Kind of Crazy, I'm Linda D'Antonio. I had a shop called Seaporium in Hyannis, but now we're in a home studio and we have a booth at Picket Fence Vintage. So make sure you check it out. And if you're on the Cape this weekend, May 4th, 2024, in case, depending on when you're watching, we're going to have a tent outside as well as the booth inside that we have for their vintage market. So make sure you check it out. I believe it's 9 to 4. That's at 834 Route 28 in South Yarmouth. So, what do you think? We're going to play today. And if you like My Kind of Crazy, please, please help a girl out, okay? Give me some loving. Give me, if you're watching on a replay. And of course, at this point, I can only show to my subscribers. So the more subscribers we have, you'll be helping out. So give me, subscribe to me, share with your friends, and hopefully my little kind of crazy can grow a little bit. So I've got a couple different projects today. Always working on a bunch of things at the same time, but we did get done. I'm working on a regular old-fashioned YouTube video for this sign. It says, "Call when you get to the bridge." It's a Cape Cod thing. When you have company coming, you always know when you can plan they'll be at your house when you tell them to call when you get to the bridge. But I have a video coming here on YouTube to explain how I did my own SVG file for that font. And it's really from one beginner to another beginner, because I know when I got my Cricut, it was a thing. So many people have a vinyl cutter of some sort and they don't use it. So I want to show, I've used it maybe 4 times and it's really easy. And hopefully now that I'm going to do more small things and maybe a little less furniture, we'll have more time for the Cricut. Because you can do not only the signs, but you can do for t-shirts. You can cut out the balsa wood, fabrics, make stencils. There's so many different things that you can do. And I'm hoping to play with that. So right now we have this Mersman table up, but I want to finish with this. But I want to show you, we got this Would You Bend trim on here. It's amazing product, and I've been dying to play with it, and this was my very first time. So we're going to do another side, but I want to get this other piece going just to show you really quick. This piece is a special, special piece. This is Haywood Brothers. It's a Victorian era. Before it was Haywood Wakefield, they were Haywood Brothers. And they did this. This is what they did. Wicker and wood pieces in Victorian era. And I know it's a Haywood because it has the sticker on the bottom. The beginning of it's a little pretty worn, but it's there. And I really didn't want to do anything to this piece because I know how rare this is and how special this is. But at some point a girl's got to do, I don't really have a place for it. It won't do any justice being in here. But of course, if it still doesn't sell, I'll be happy to home it here somewhere. We'll find a space. But we added some VooDoo gel stain, believe it or not, to the top. So I have videos coming up where I'm sanding the top of this, and we cleaned it, then sanded it down to bare wood. There was a scratch in here, and there was a ring of some sort. So we got rid of those and cleaned it again. This time I wiped it down with alcohol. But I cleaned everything except for the alcohol. I cleaned everything, even the wicker. So that got really, pretty dried out after it dried, and we want this to last a lot longer too. So I show in my other video on the other socials, Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to check that out, we use this Big Mama's butter, and it comes in 4 different scents. This is Orange Grove. I also have, my 2 faves are Orange Grove and the new Fresh and Clean. And basically all this is, and you don't have to wear gloves, It's a all natural salve, and you're gonna give this a whole new life. Okay, inside and out, up and down, all the parts, because the wood dries out. All right, and it's just a good idea. Now, if you don't like scents, you can get an unscented. But the nice thing with the scents, the scented Big Mama's butter, is that if you have that stinky old oaks, or just a piece that was just not in a great place, maybe has a lot of must to it, must smell, maybe it was in a smoker's home. After you clean, maybe with vinegar, and you rinse it really well. Remember, the only thing you really don't have to rinse is alcohol. So if you're using denatured alcohol, that's why I always use it in my last step. Because also, if you have remaining oils or waxes on your surface, it's going to tell you. It's going to get a thick, kind of a heavy, waxy haze in those spots. All right, so once I give this the once over, and I do it to all my furniture pieces that are, especially the older pieces, inside, outside, wherever there's not painting. But now this is going to last for a while, and maybe you add some more down the road. But I don't see, like, especially with the wicker, it's so hard. You really don't want to paint it. It's so hard to get in there. You're really going to ruin it, and especially a piece that has this history. And for the top, all I did is I used, because it's down to bare wood, I can use the VooDoo gel stain, and this is the Au Naturelle. I know it's a glare because this particular iPad, everything's a glare. There we go. I know it's backwards, but okay. VooDoo gel stain. Let me see if I move this light, if it helps. I don't think it's that. It's this iPad. Yeah. See, it still does it. So if you want that bleached look, all right. So even if you sand it down to bare wood, what happens when you seal it? It gets back to this, wood color. Oh, by the way, I'm leaving this here because I didn't want to take the chance. I'm not hand sanding it because, again, I got a feeling I'm bringing this home. I don't want to sand the wicker. So this little edge doesn't bother me. I want it the nice brighter top. And yes, you can buy things to bleach the wood, and you got to do it several times. And it's very what's the word? I'm really bad with words. But it's caustic, right? It's you got to wear the respirator. You got to do it outdoors. You got to wear the gloves. You got to do all that. Or you can use this water-based gel stain on your bare wood and give it a light coat. You could do it as heavy as you want. I really wiped it in very thin because it was already pretty light. And if you had more, you would wipe off your excess with another dry, lint-free rag. And let that dry, and we can wax this top. I can use the Big Mama's butter on the top. I can use the gator hide on top, which is probably what I'm going to do because I think any top of a piece of table, whatever, it's got to get that ultra protection. So I really like the gator hide, and I just wipe that on after. But even though this feels really dry, I just put this gel stain on, so I'll probably do that tomorrow. And I literally just take a blue sponge that we sell and wipe it on. Direction of the grain. 2-3 coats at most would be fine for a piece like this. A dining table, I mean, if you really like a thick coat, probably like five, and it still won't look like that thick varnish when you put 5 or 7 coats with another product because you're wiping it on thin. But it is our most durable, most water-resistant product. And everything's available on our online store. It's seaporium.square.site. And now we're going to do this. This is so fun. I have literally been dying to do this, you guys, okay? Dying to do the Would You Bend. It's right here. So this is a neat product. Let me kind of get close because, the glare. So It's got all the different patterns. I got this one too for some other piece. I was thinking I'll get a dresser someday. It has the beautiful shell center, right? But it's big. It's too big for here. All right, just by a hair, but it is too big. But wouldn't that be beautiful, right? I'm not gonna lie, there is a price point to these. So it's not something I'm automatically carrying. But if you see any Would You Bend product that Dixie Belle carries and you want me to get it in my next order for you, I'll just do a pre-order for you. Just need an email and invoice you. We ship it out once it comes in. And by the way, depending on when you watch, if if seaporium.square.site isn't working for you, check seaporium.com, because I know you could be watching this video at any point and we might get our .com back. Right now I got a free site, so we're doing it. So this is a product, it is made with actual wood. It's a composite, okay? And if I try to open this up and straighten it out right now, it's gonna break. This sucker gonna break. And that's not what we want to happen. However, when you heat this up, my heat gun doesn't want to reach. Let me just take a minute and move this. Let's see, which one is it? Not that, it's this one. All right, let's get this going. And a surge protector. Right? Nope. I don't understand these new surge protectors. There we go. Oh wait, we can put it in a extension cord and then a surge protector. And I actually find it pretty interesting that the heat gun doesn't have the 3-prong. I would have considered it a pretty kind of heavy duty tool, but apparently it's not. So, as I was saying, once you heat this up, it becomes workable. Watch, you'll start seeing that roll give out as this is loosening up. See? Now be careful not to burn your hands, okay? We're going to do quite a bit more than we did for that end piece. I started with the back because when you're doing something for the first time, do it on your most inconspicuous part. And I was playing whether I should attach it right underneath the lip or in the center. I went with the center. And I didn't mark anything yet. Let's see, do we have enough? Yeah. Okay, so let's measure it out. And even if this breaks, because it's so pliable, let's get this a little more heat. I'm going to make a mark here where to cut. All right, let's get my little handy dandy ruler. and a cutting mat because, you know, you don't want to mess up your surface. You can use scissors if you want. All right, this one I'm going to make a little bit more even. I didn't have the ruler for my first cut. We had a little play, so I'm not concerned about this being I'm just shaving off the end. Okay, just that little bump in the center. Okay. And again, it's getting stiff, so I gotta be careful with this. I like to use the Tite Bond Quick and Thick. All right, thank you whoever's watching. And because this sets in like 5 minutes, like I can take that other tape off, even though we just glued it about half hour ago. Because for some reason YouTube was doing something wonky when I was trying to load it, and I wasn't even trying to schedule a video. It was just doing that, and then of course my profile on YouTube shows like umpteen versions of Seaporium is live. It's gonna go live at 6:04, and I was posting it at 6:04. Like, it's crazy. I don't know why YouTube has got to do that, but it's got its own prerogative apparently. And when you're using a wood glue, you don't want to use too much. You need enough to just grab and kind of give an even coat. And who do we have here? Hi. That was Joe. All right, and then we're going to heat this up again. And I want to get it on. We're going to have some time to play with it. And I'll get it, make sure that we're pretty down the center. Now you want to be careful if you're doing this on a painted surface. You can do this at any point. However, I like to do this any molds, whether it's clay molds or, you know, something like this. Do it at the raw stage. So it's like it is part of the furniture. And if we get any parts that don't seamlessly line up, what's the word? Not line up, but go nice and flat onto the surface, we can use caulk. All right. Just be careful not to burn yourself with the heat tool. Like at the ends here, I'll probably use a little caulk. All right, and well, we're nice and flat, so let's measure. Make sure we're up the center. All right, so that's, I think we want to come up a bit more. Oh, that's in centimeters. That's why it doesn't line up with what I had before. Okay, so I'm doing a measure. It's about 5/8 there. And it's only, okay, so this has got to come up. So this should be about, nope, let's see, 5/8. See, it's already getting harder to move. 5/8. And having such a difficult time with this. I should have gone ahead and measured for this one. 3/4. 3/4. 3/4. 3/4. This is going to come down a little bit. 3/4. All right. Now, just for safe measure. Now, if I cracked off a piece, I would just heat it up and fit it in nice and tight. You know, with a little caulk if you need to after it's dry. Everything would be, oh, I should have used more tape. But that's what's nice about this Quick and Thick. It sets up so fast. And it's as easy as that, you guys, okay? It's really easy to use. And I can stain this, I can paint it, I can do all the things that I would with wood. All right, again, I'll add a little caulk to the edges. And if we do get any lifts, I can heat it up and push it back down and then caulk. I'll probably caulk it anyways, just because you probably will see a line. And I'd like it to look like it's carved out of there. But that's me. But they have tons of designs and styles, and make sure you check it out on the Dixie Belle site. And if there's anything you see that you want, I can order it. But let's briefly talk now about the slick stick or the bonding boss. Same thing. Let's make room. Put everything away. Well, sort of put away. You know what I mean. It's all on my little work table. Let's get our slick stick. And we're going to get a brush. I'm pretty sure I have some slick stick here. Make sure it smells the same, but I think I have some left over from another project. Now this I'm not going to worry about for slick stick, but I will use Boss on this. So Boss, if you don't have the bonding Boss, which is both slick stick and Boss put together, so the Boss would keep the tannins from bleeding through, and this is, I believe, a mahogany piece, so it's going to bleed. It's going to be a bleeder. So probably 3 coats of the Boss. Those old oaks, sometimes they bleed a little. You can probably get away with 1 coat of Boss. And if you're using silk paint, you can do 1 less coat, because silk has a built-in primer in it that's the equivalent of Boss, 1 coat of Boss. So let me see what, let's see. So you want to make sure it's stirred well. I'm not sure, I'm not certain, so I don't want to take a chance. Okay. I think it is the same, but it just feels like it's different. So this is like one of those hot ingredient kind of products. So you want to make sure you're doing all the things to get it mixed really well. And it's not like you have a paint shaker at home, so just do all the things, okay? And there's so little in here. If that was a full quart, I would want to spend more time with that. So for the top, I did, if you can tell, I did prep it. It was in my videos recently. Oh, I did this one on YouTube where it showed the crackle. This, I did prep the top. I cleaned it. I sanded it to give it a tack. And then I wiped it down with alcohol. The whole piece got wiped down with denatured alcohol. However, this top still feels really slick. And I'm thinking it's like a Formica. And so just to be safe, even though I slicked it up, and I know the Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint will stick really well to so many different surfaces, I want to just kind of, since I'm at this stage anyways, why not take the time and do the primer. So what I'm going to do is I just dip my hand in some water and I'm going to just dampen the edges of my bristles. It's not like chalk paint where you're using water to move it. And I have a damp rag. Okay. And notice I put it into a container. Why did I do that? Every time I'm dipping in here, right, I could be picking up dust or debris, and that will end up into my big container, and we don't want that. So, and then every time, the whole time I'm working with it, the container would be open and drying out my product. So that's not a thing we wanted to happen, so that's why I did it. And I'm going to do the side lip on this because I think that top layer is probably the same product. The bottom part is all wood, I can tell. But there's that little fine line that's darker that I believe is the laminate. I could be wrong. So I'm just using the Dixie Belle mini flat. It's nice because it's got not a lot of bristles to it. All my brushes are available online. They're not available at Picket Fence because I don't have a place to put them. And I need a locking cabinet for that, so. My store, I had it, you know, all conveniently right by the register so I could keep an eye on them. But whenever you're painting, you want to make sure that you're getting your paint on in sections, especially something like this. You're not going to get a lot of work time, and it's going to work like a latex. So you don't want to have these little cross strokes dry out, because you'll see that. And then my last stroke on a section is very light, so we don't get those heavy brush strokes left behind. Now, once we do, let's say we do this coat, we could get out, and it's dry a couple hours, we could get out maybe a 400 grit sandpaper and give it just a light sanding. Obviously you don't want to go back to the original surface, but you want to kind of get rid of some of those highs and lows that the brush, you know, the bristles are leaving. So like a really fine sandpaper, just lightly over the top, will help minimize those brush channels, the bristle channels. All right. Again, really light stroke. However, if I'm going to sand, I usually do it after my second coat. And a lot of times, depending on the finish that I'm doing, if I'm doing something a little more casual, I don't mind a little brush stroke showing. I just don't want it like super thick. And a lot of times when you're working, especially with the chalk mineral paints, I do a light sand over it. And so a lot of times that fills everything out pretty smoothly. Okay. You know, work your sections, but once a section is pretty dry, you don't want to go back and revisit it. All right, it's the same thing with pretty much any product. When you're working with chalk mineral paints or the clay paints, if you're a Terra paint user, you know, you can always fix things with a little water or sanding. after. I like to do a damp sand when I'm using the Dixie Belle paints. And if you haven't done it before, whatever chalk style paint you're using, I had a little something in there. Because, you know, we're at the bottom of this container, and sometimes, you know, when you're opening the lid, you get some of that debris from the neck show up, and that all ends up at the bottom of your container, which is another reason why I like to use, you know, other containers. So we're not adding to the mess, especially if you're going to paint in your garage or outdoors. You got bugs flying around. You didn't see it, but it landed in your paint and sunk in, or, you know, like, and all that debris just ends up in the last part of your paint or your primer. All right, so now we have, you know, an even, thin coat. Oh, another piece of debris here. Always finish with the grain. Nice light stroke, barely touching it. All right, so after this nice even coat dries, I'm going to give it 2 hours. Just because it feels dry, the touch maybe in an hour, I want to just make sure that it's dry all the way through. Got a little lip there. Okay. Might have to sand that little section. And because don't forget, whatever you do on this layer will show through on your other layers. So if you're leaving brush strokes here, especially if they're the bigger brush strokes, you know, paint is not a filler. To some degree it can be, especially the chalk style paints, because I sand in between or after. So in that respect, a chalk style paint can kind of be a filler, but there's only so much fill that it's going to do. I love when people say, well, just put a lot of paint over it, it'll fill it up. It doesn't. All right, so if I had the bonding boss, I'm still using up my slick stick and my Boss products. If I had the bonding boss, I would now go and do this shelf and any parts on the legs or the sides that went to bare wood. But for me, I'll do the same thing that I did up here with my Boss. Now Boss and the bonding bosses come in 3 colors. So I will choose, I'm not sure what I'm doing with this piece. I'm really not sure. I'm thinking it's going to be light because it's just a white is a good seller out here still. I thought about navy would be really pretty, but a dark table might be a hard sell. So I think I'm going to stick with the white. So I might do the white Boss. But if I was doing a gray or a black, I would do a gray Boss. If I was going to distress, or if I was doing another dark color and I had the clear Boss, I could use the clear Boss. All right. That way, if it's clear, it's still protected from the bleeding, but you can distress it and it's none the wiser. All right. You can still do the distressing with the clear Boss or bonding Boss. All right. I am done with this. I just want to give you an up-close view of this little piece. I just did up a shorts video for these. There's 3 of them. I'm going to have these available online in my next batch. They're fun to make. I'll probably do a tutorial on them. It's resin and just a little wash of mica powder and clear coat. And then the last layer, I added just a tinge of orange. One of them has a yellow, you know, to be just like it's like the glittery goldfish, right? And then, like I said, we've got the video coming for the sign on how to do your own SVG files. So stay tuned for that here on YouTube. And again, if you like my kind of crazy, give us a subscribe to me. Give this video a like. Share with your friends, please. It helps this girl out grow, and hopefully it can do, you know, it can reach more people, and you know, keep doing what I love. It comes down to that. All right. If you see anything at seaporium.square.site that you like, I don't have inventory, reach out to me and we'll get it to you. All right. Until I see you again, stay sassy.